Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I'm going to showcase a 1 bar Oakensoul build for the Magicka Dragonknight, also known as Magdk. This build is capable of pulling over 90k on the parse dummy. This build is not a solo build and is optimized for group content. I will be using mythics and trial gear, so this is not a super beginner friendly build, but rather more for endgame players who prefer 1 bar builds. Keep in mind that this build is set up with trial gear, but there will be a gear alternative section to mix and match whatever sets you may have access to. With that being said, here's the build. Starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in a Magicka and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For the race, I'm a high elf. I think high elves have some of the best passives for Magicka DPS. For the food, we're going to be opting to run Clockwork Citrus Fillet for any hard content. A cheaper and easier to acquire alternative would be Witch Mother's Potent Brew. And lastly, if you're parsing or need more sustain, then Ghastly Eyeball is always the go-to. For the potions, since we're using Oakensoul, we just opt to use Essence of Magicka. Keep in mind that we do not need to use Essence of Spell Power because Oakensoul provides major sorcery and major prophecy for us, so we can just opt to use that instead. Another good option is using Tri-Stat potions because they'll give us health and stamina as well, so that's another option to consider. So for CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Backstabber, Wrathful Strikes, Thaumaturge, and Deadly Aim. Change out Backstabber for fighting finesse if you can't flank the enemy. And for the red tree, rejuvenation is the only mandatory thing. Everything else is content dependent. For the gear, we're going to be running 5 pieces of Pillar Nirn paired with 5 pieces of Whirl of Depths and 1 piece Oakensoul and 1 piece Slime Crawl. So breaking down in the main hand, we have a Pillar Nirn Dagger in Nirnhone with a flame damage enchant and the offhand charge with a poison damage enchant. For the head, we have 1 piece of Slime Crawl in medium traded in Divines with a max mag enchant. For 1 piece of the body, we have Pillar Nirn. This is going to be in Divines with a max mag enchant. For the rest of the body, we have 5 pieces of Whirl of Depths, all traded in Divines with max mag enchants. And for the jewelry, we have 2 pieces of Pillar Nirn jewelry, both traded in Bloodthirsty with spell damage enchants. And lastly, the Oakensoul Ring, which is Bloodthirsty with the spell damage enchant as well. So for the skills, we're going to be running Venomous Claw, Molten Whip, Burning Talons, Eruption, Flames of Oblivion, and Standard of Might. So for the rotation, we're going to be keeping up our dots dynamically, meaning as soon as they fall off, recast them. These are Venomous Claw, Burning Talons, Eruption, and Flames of Oblivion. So the thing about Burning Talons is you're gonna have to recast this every 4 seconds, and when you don't have anything better to cast, just use your Molten Whip, and whenever your standard is ready, just feel free to drop that whenever. So for closing thoughts, the reason why we're running Burning Talons is it requires Magicka, and it also is a good AoE and does good damage as well. You can replace this out for another skill you may need. Another good option would be Engulfing Flames, especially if you don't have anybody in the group casting it, because it increases flame damage by up to 6%. And if you want to squeeze a little bit more single target damage, I feel like running a different skill instead of Talons could do that. So for gear alternatives, instead of running Whirl and Pillar, you can opt to run different sets. Some good sets would be Bosse is still good if you can control your Magicka. Sororia is really strong still if you don't mind being semi-stationary. Advancing Yokeda can work if you're using daggers. Coral Riptide and Reliquin for a hybrid build wouldn't be a bad idea either. If you are going to opt to use Coral Riptide, you're going to have to figure out a way to burn your stamina, which may be possible on some builds but not on others. Aegis Collar is also a really good AoE set. It's not as hard hitting as Reliquin, but it is still a good option. And lastly, if you want a super budget build, then Order's Wrath and Julianos would be a perfect fit. And that wraps up the build explanation section of this portion. As always, thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Or better yet, come join our Discord. Link is in the description. As a reminder, if this video helped in any way, please help the channel grow by subscribing and liking the video. I will also have a written guide in the description for those who would prefer that. And lastly, I've also started a channel membership for those who like to go the extra step to help support me so I can focus on more content creation. And as always, feel free to stick around for the attached parse. If not, have a good day and see you in the next one.